If he called, and I hate hypothetical questions,
Sure.
Forgive me. If he called tomorrow and said, I am ready to adopt your plan for peace, he can come back?
I think that if he called and had a serious proposal for how he was going to engage in the process, look, there are details that really matter that we're already working on with the Russians. We've already talked with some of our allies. He needs to engage seriously on the details. I think once that happens, then absolutely we want to talk to the Ukrainians.
Are you convinced Putin and the Russians are willing to meet them, I don't want to say the word halfway, they're willing to do their part to achieve a negotiated settlement?
Am I convinced? No. But do I think that there's a real pathway? You got to trust but verify. You've got to engage in the negotiation. You've got to see what steps people are willing to take. This is another thing, Sean, obviously I'm biased because I really love the guy, but when the media attacks President Trump as somehow on the side of Putin, two big problems with that. First of all, the only president in 20 years where you haven't had the Russians take a bunch of territory was under the first term of Donald J. Trump. The second part of that is you've got to actually accept that President Trump, he's not just assuming that everything the Russians tell him is true, he's negotiating with them. There's a give and take. There's a trust but verify. That's called diplomacy. We used to have some respect for that in Washington, D.C.
With respect to Mr. Romney's assertion that Russia is our number one geopolitical foe, the truth of the matter is that America's got a whole lot of challenges. Russia is a regional power that is threatening some of its immediate neighbors, not out of strength, but out of weakness. Ukraine has been a country in which Russia had enormous influence for decades, since the breakup of the Soviet Union. The fact that Russia felt compelled to go in militarily and lay bare these violations of international law indicates less influence, not more. And so my response then continues to be what I believe today, which is Russia's actions are a problem. They don't pose the number one national security threat to the United States.
Really? That was a remarkably tedious Barack Obama, adamantly saying Russia's not the number one national security threat to America. He mocked Mitt Romney for warning that, but not a peep of criticism. Democrats didn't say it was the end of the world when Obama said that. They're not talking about it now. Let's welcome to the show the U.S. Deputy Special Envoy to the Middle East, Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, it's great to have you on again. So they're not talking about Obama here. Why? Russia took Crimea under Obama's watch.
Well, absolutely. He invaded in the Obama presidencies and in the Biden presidency. And of course, Putin did not do that in the Trump presidency. What's the big difference? And President Trump talked about this in his meeting with Zelensky last Friday. He talked about how President Obama gave blankets and words of support, but it was President Trump in his first term who gave anti-tank Javelin missiles to the Ukrainians, who armed them with lethal aid. And then, of course, the Russians did not invade in his presidency. Fast forward, we have the war. And remember, there were several big missteps that President Biden made leading to that war. He said, well, maybe Russia could do a small incursion, sort of giving them the green light. He also took all of the sanctions off the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and he took many actions that I think led the Russians to think, you know what, this guy is weak and that we're going to be able to invade. One of the biggest ones, of course, was that fateful withdrawal from Afghanistan, in which the Taliban took over and left America running out the door, leaving people and equipment behind. That weakness sent a signal to every dictator that they would be able to get away with, any plans that they wanted to do, whether it was Russia and Ukraine or whether it was Hamas going after Israel on October 7th, 2023, as we remember. So you'll see a very big difference. This president leads with strength, and he's trying to get the best deal for the American people. And I think that's a crucial difference. Is we don't lead with what's best for the Europeans, for the Ukrainians. Instead, it's what is in America's interest, what is best for us. And that was the fundamental miscalculation by President Zelensky on Fridays. He failed to see that President Trump was offering him the best deal of all, a minerals deal that would economically tie our two countries together and give America their own financial interest in the fight.
Well, we see the backstory, the truth now slowly emerging. Yes, Susan Rice, the former national security advisor for Joe Biden and Barack Obama, out saying the meeting in the Oval Office was a setup. She's right. But the setup was on behalf of the Democrats. So Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, Susan Rice, Alexander Vindman, and Senator Murphy now admitting that they violated the Logan Act. Alex, you know that you cannot have your own personal or partisan foreign policy.
Roger, they had it across the street at the White House guest home right before it. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's brazen. And if you look at it historically, the left bought into this narrative that just before the 1968 election, when Lyndon Johnson called a bombing halt but got nothing from the North Vietnamese for it, they accused Nixon of sending a message to the South Vietnamese to not go to the bargaining table. Now, recently, the historian Luke Nichter has proven that actually never really happened, but the left went out of their minds. Here, you have these former Obama-Biden conspirators trying to set Trump up. Zelensky, I've watched this video 4 times. He looks coked up to me. And Trump manhandles him correctly because Zelensky not only says, no, the money you gave us was a gift, was a grant. We're not paying any of it back. That angered the president, as it should have. And he's not prepared to do this deal. Now we learn that the whole thing is a setup because the British had already reached an agreement where, just to get this exactly right, they had already signed an agreement that provided Ukraine security guarantees in return for their right of access to Ukraine's gas, oil, and minerals, as well as oversight of their ports. So this was a massive setup, and I think it has backfired badly, certainly with the American people. The real key thing here, Alex, is that Attorney General Pam Bondi should appoint a special counsel to investigate whether these Democrats have violated the Logan Act. Now, that special counsel should be confirmed by the U.S. Senate, so they're, unlike Jack Smith, there is no question about their authority. But this is a very serious infraction. You may remember Joe Biden wanted to set General Flynn up for violation of the Logan Act. But it turns out that Flynn's conversations after he was national security advisor with the Russian ambassador were entirely appropriate. There was never any discussion of opposing the sanctions that Trump's predecessor had put into place. So this is the most important thing.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard. Since day one of Donald Trump's presidency, prices are not down, they're up. Inflation is getting worse, not better. The prices of grocery, gas, housing, eggs, of essentials, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has done nothing, goose eggs, to lower prices. Instead, he's pardoned violent criminals who savagely beat police officers on January 6th. He's letting Elon Musk take a chainsaw to vital government programs, and then, even worse, giving him access to Americans' most sensitive data, Social Security numbers, tax returns, health care bills. He's fired thousands of essential workers, people who help our veterans get their benefits, people fighting Ebola in Africa so it doesn't come here. He's frozen funding for vital programs that so many American families need: cancer research, education funding, payments to family farmers, and so much worse. Why are they doing this? Trump, Musk, Doge are taking these vital services away from you for one reason only: so they can give tax breaks to their billionaires club. Their plan is awful, simply awful. Billionaires win, families lose. And that is the truth.
And that is the truth.
And that is the truth.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.